Okay, Dr. Dan Yachter for this Wednesday's edition of News, Views, and Weekly Updates. Happy Wednesday, everybody, and always thankful that you're joining me. Many of you guys will be joining later to watch. We've got several topics of interest, and I'm going to start off with talking about the Brain Masterclass content. We're doing micro segments on this each week. We're getting ready to move into the next Masterclass content, but I wanted to finish up with the Brain Masterclass coming off of last month's Masterclass topic, healing your broken brain. We got a good amount more to discuss regarding that one. And then some very important headlines. So we're going to dive in. And what I wanted to talk about is one of the 5 components of lifetime brain health. So we're going to finish up all the content that we started last month for the July 15th Healing Your Broken Brain or Fixing Your Broken Brain Masterclass. We talked about lifetime brain health at that masterclass, neurogenesis, synaptoplasticity. What are these words? Neurogenesis means that the brain is capable, in spite of decades of thought that the brain could not change, it could not grow new neurons, it cannot re-strengthen old connections. Well, that notion is outdated, and we now know in neuroscience, neurology, neurosurgeons know this. I mean, it's just well known throughout the world of neurology that not only can you grow new brain cells in the central nervous system, but you can strengthen old ones. It would start once upon a time that only the peripheral nerves, the nerves that are running basically outside of the central nervous system, outside of the brain and the spinal cord, can regenerate. But that is not so. We know that the entire nervous system can regenerate. Neurogenesis is the growth and development of new brain cells, and synaptoplasticity is the strengthening or re-strengthening of old neuronal connections. And so we talked about, how do you strengthen old brain cell connections? How do you grow new ones? We talked about synaptogenesis, neurogenesis, synaptoplasticity. How do you do that? The 5 factors we discussed. The nervous system, the spine, how do you keep it healthy? By way of regular chiropractic spinal checkups. Nutrition, oxygenation. Also, along with that oxygenation, how do you oxygenate the brain? You move. Stress management. And lastly, constant and never-ending improvement. So I wanted to finish up the brain discussion, the masterclass brain discussion on this one. Good afternoon, CC. Good to have you with us here. And wanted to, let's see. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. I wanted to jump into the 4th component of our brain discussion, which is stress management. So when it comes to the brain, we know in terms of memory and diseases like Alzheimer's, a memory disease or disease of the memory centers, the hippocampal area of the brain is for memory. And we know that cortisol is the stress hormone, and the hippocampus is a magnet for cortisol. Give you an example here. When you have ever experienced a very stressful event in your life, one of the things that is severely affected is memory during and after reflecting back on a situation. Sometimes it's very difficult to remember things about that event, surrounding that event, the actual event. And the main reason why is, number one, cortisol is released in normal amounts by the adrenals to regulate heartbeat, heart rhythm, heart health, immune system surveillance, blood sugar control. There are a lot of things, a lot of functions involved with cortisol. It impacts the body in many different ways. But when we are in fight or flight, freeze, adrenaline rush, that type of physiology, cortisol is released in larger amounts by the adrenals. Cortisol in higher amounts, chronically elevated amounts, has a dramatic impact on the body, particularly the brain. In chronically high amounts, it damages the hippocampus, which is highly sensitive to cortisol. And that is the region of the brain primarily involved with memory. The cortisol, or high levels of stress, emotional stress, mental stress, churns and burns minerals and vitamins like B vitamins, which are essential for brain health, especially vitamin B12. And another aspect of stress management, sleep, 7 to 8 hours per night, 5 to 6 uninterrupted hours, cold, dark environments, 72 degrees or less, or lower, or cooler. This is very important because the only way we can recover from stress and maintain resiliency against stress is making sure we're getting a good night's rest. So good sleep, one of the most important, if not the most important stress management strategies we can employ to protect our brains, make sure cortisol is kept in check. Sleep rhythms. One of the things we talked about at the Masterclass is that throughout the body is a lymphatic system. It's the gutter system of the body. Toxicity is drawn out and away from the body and out of the body. In the brain, it's called the glymphatic system. While we sleep, primarily, it pumps in unison with the heart and it brings up nutrition, circulates nutrients through the brain, and then circulates toxicity away or out of the brain. So that glymphatic system is key or crucial for washing the brain, keeping it clean, keeping it healthy. So it primarily happens while we're sleeping. Detoxification of the brain by way of the glymphatic system happens primarily while we're sleeping. A recent article, and when I say recent, about a year and a half ago, there was an article that was released about sleeping medications. A lot of people have severe difficulty sleeping at night, so they take sleeping medications, sleeping aids. And they found that they're actually blocking, sleep medications block the proteins, the enzymes involved with the glymphatic system working properly. So be careful with that, very careful. So again, this is what we discussed, we touched upon at the Brain Masterclass, Fixing Your Broken Brain, the importance of stress management in regards to brain health. And then we also talked about kanai, okay, kaizen, the Japanese word for moving toward perfection, or kanai, constant and never-ending improvement. That comes from the Japanese thought process of personal improvement, personal excellence. And when we talk about that, we discuss it within the context of the Elevation Health Essentials, learning and growing, feeding your mind, getting equipped with knowledge, empowerment, so you can make great choices and decisions which lead to the best possible health outcomes in the future. My goal in conducting the monthly masterclasses, which I've been doing for close to 30 years, is to literally turn patients into their own doctors. So when they're not in my office, they understand how to make great health decisions. It's not that difficult when you're armed with the right knowledge, when you have the truth about your body, how your body works, how it should work, how to work with your body and not against it. The fear that comes along with stewarding your health is removed from the equation, and you can properly steward your body and your health in a great way. So how do we do that? We conduct the master classes each month. We have weekly newsletters that go out by way of email. If you're not on our email list, get on it. I'll put you on it so you can get our emails. It's all free content. Weekly in-office newsletters that I physically hand to patients, monthly postal newsletters that show up in your mailbox, monthly master classes, weekly Facebook group interaction, which we're doing here. All the articles that I discuss and all the content can be found inside of my group, My Family, My Mission. If you haven't joined, join the group, become part of the community. So again, I wanted to do one last rehash on the brain information, the brain material, the Healing Your Broken Brain, before next week when we have our next masterclass on the 19th, Tuesday, August 19th. We are going to be talking about how to build a titanium immune system, AKA raising a healthy drug-free family. You're going to learn about all of the strategies that I've employed with not only my own family, my own children, but thousands. At this point, it's actually getting close to 30,000 people we've worked with in Seminole County and beyond, but thousands of families. And now we're on like the third generation, kids raising up in our office, healthy, strong. What do these families do, and what are they doing that's different than the rest of the community? You want to learn these strategies. Whether you are a patient or not, the master classes are free. I implore you, I beg you, come join us. Come and sit in and listen in on this crucial information. No, I don't broadcast it on the internet. I don't have it on YouTube. I don't have the master classes in Facebook. We don't put it out there for many, many reasons. But again, I invite you to come join us, sit through this master class. It's going to be a powerful one. It's going to be a great one. We want you here. We want you learning the most powerful way to protect the health of your family, and just shield them, protect them, and give them what they need to navigate the health terrain well, to make great decisions for you and your family. Whether you may actually be in the process of just getting into familyhood. Maybe you're having your first baby as a couple. Maybe you're far along the way. Maybe you have teenagers, what have you. Whatever the case may be, maybe your kids are out of the house. Maybe you never had kids. The information still applies to you. So we want you there. So let's go ahead and jump into the rest of the content. But again, one of the greatest ways to maintain a healthy, strong brain is to continue to learn, grow, get exposed to new knowledge, new information, and new application. So join us. It's going to be a great one, this one coming up. And when you come to the master classes, we give out gifts, we give out special content that you can't get anywhere else. We're going to have the master class right here, as always, in my office in Lake Mary, 1061 South Sun Drive, Unit 1073, right off Lake Mary Boulevard. If you're familiar with the Target on Lake Mary Boulevard, if I open my back door right here, I'm looking at the back door of Target, okay, just in case you wanted a strong chair for a moment. So let's go ahead and jump into the remainder of the content. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this up. I'm going to jump into my Facebook group, and I'm going to bring up some of the topics. Again, if you want to get access to these articles, which I'm discussing, then just ask to be approved for our group. We'll let you in. My Family, My Mission is my private Facebook group. We have thousands in there. We'd love for you to join us, and you'll be getting content there that I don't post anywhere else throughout the week. So our first article here is RFK Jr. RFK Jr. pulls $500 million in funding for vaccine development. RFK Jr., if you're not familiar with this fact, but he is the Secretary of Health and Human Services. And he was confirmed by President Trump, and he is the head of all of the health agencies, including the NIH, the CDC, the FDA, and over 80,000 federal employees. And the reason he was appointed to be the Secretary of Health and Human Services, because he was approved by many, many congressmen and women, and you had to go through a lot of vetting. So he was approved for a reason. He was the best person for the job. And a lot of people are now saying, this guy's a lunatic. He's an anti-vaxxer because now he's pulling $500 million in funding for vaccine development. But if you read the article, which was published August 5th, which was just a week ago, the Associated Press talks about how the Department of Health and Human Services will cancel contracts and pull funding for some vaccines that are being developed to fight respiratory viruses like COVID-19 and the flu. RFK Jr., the health secretary and long-term vaccine critic, announced in a statement Tuesday that $500 million worth of vaccine development projects, all using mRNA technology, will be halted. So he said, the last part of this was, Kennedy said in the Tuesday statement that he wants the health department to move away from mRNA technologies, vaccines, calling on the department to start investing in better solutions. So the main reason why he's taking this stance is simply because, did you open that back door and that's where you went? Oh yeah. Thank you, Leon. Appreciate that. Great info. Learned something new today. Appreciate that. Did you open? No, I did not go there. I swiped and it sent me off my screen here, but I'm still with you guys. So one of the comments I wanted to make about RFK Jr.'s stance and the mRNA technology, and the main reason he's taking that stance is simply because after 3 or 4 years of feedback on these vaccines, they are not what they promised to be. Number one, they guarantee that if you got the vaccine, the COVID shot, that you were protected, that you would not get the virus, you would not be infected, and you would not spread it. You would not get future bouts of the virus. You would not get the variant bouts of the virus. You would not go to the hospital, and you would not die from it. And all that turned out to be lies. It is now substantiated. There are congressional reports on this. If you have not heard about this, you've been living under a rock. I mean, everybody at this point knows that the COVID shots were a complete scam. They did not stop you from being infected. They did not stop you from spreading it to others. They did not temper the severity of the bout. They did not keep you out of the hospital. They did not. The people who, in fact, got the COVID shot ended up getting multiple bouts, severe bouts of the infections, and it did not keep you from dying. That's why RFK Jr. is taking the stance on the COVID shots that he is. He's pulling $500 million in funding because he's standing up and saying, there's got to be a better way than this nonsense. He wants to protect the public, and he knows the shots didn't. That's all this man is trying to do. He's trying to figure out better solutions. The next article that I posted is about, in fact, the last article that I wanted to talk about here was thermography. Thermography versus mammography. What you need to know about the trending screening. So I wanted to just dive into this just a bit. I get a lot of questions clinically about this. What is thermography? Or I heard about thermography. I heard it's safer than mammography or ultrasounds. What is your opinion on it? This is a great article. And it talks about just how the fact that the body is constantly communicating with us, sending signals such as increased heat. Increased heat can be an indicator of increased inflammation, which is a precursor to sickness and disease. It can indicate increased heat or inflammation can indicate early stage health issues. Thermography, which is one of the diagnostics that we use in our office, we run it up the spine to look to see if there are heat differentials from side to side in the vertebrae. If the bones are out of alignment, pinching the nerves and inflaming the nerves, it can create a heat differential from side to side. Well, if that's the case, those nerves that are inflamed, they actually control a lot of things, including the vascular system. And so if those nerves that are controlling the vascular system, same nerves controlling organs and glands, if there's inflammation locally and the thermography indicates that, that could point to deeper problems in the organ systems. So we use it in that respect. It can pick up heat differentials from side to side. But thermography is also used as a screening technique to look at breast tissue. So thermography, a trending screening technique, translates thermal signals into colorful maps, offering a non-invasive alternative to mammography for early detection and prevention of various conditions. A lot of patients talk with me about the fact that they're concerned with the amount of radiation that thermography shoots into their breasts, and then they're doing it every year, sometimes twice per year, and they're concerned about the toxic radiation that could be going into their breast tissue. While mammography remains the standard for breast cancer detection, thermography presents a promising complementary option focusing on heat patterns to identify potential concerns before structural changes occur. How thermography works. Thermography, also known as digital infrared thermal imaging, is a non-invasive screening test that uses an infrared camera, and that detects subtle changes, temperature changes on the surface of the skin. These changes can provide clues about what's happening inside the body, revealing factors such as inflammation, hormonal imbalances, lymphatic congestion, and others, which can all lead to fluid buildup in the body's tissues. Dr. Christine Horner, a board-certified general and plastic surgeon and an author, natural health expert, and founder of a thermography practice in Southern California, talked about this in the article here. And she's talking about here, I'm reading it to you. It's a measuring of the surface temperature of the skin. She uses this in her practice rather than the mammograms. And the software that's used with the surface temperature, it's a program that assigns a different color to every temperature. And that's what creates the image on the computer screen. So in essence, whatever area of the body that you're looking at, you can think of it as a geographical temperature map. That's what you get with the thermography. So looking back here, so a little bit more on this. I don't want to obviously read the whole article to you, but I wanted to share with you a good amount of this because there are, again, a lot of questions clinically that I get from the women I care for, and they're talking about that they rather do the thermography because it's less invasive. It differs from mammography and ultrasound is that it's a test of physiology or function rather than anatomy or structure. Dr. Horner talks about combining both types of tests can provide more comprehensive information. Thermography's effectiveness is rooted in its connection to the sympathetic nervous system, which controls the body's fight or flight response and innervates the skin. Whenever there's any kind of underlying imbalances, dysfunctions, injuries, infections, anything like that going on, the sympathetic nervous system is going to cause the overlying skin temperature to change. So goes on, but just a few more things I wanted to share. But again, the article will be in my private group, and I recommend, if this is a topic of interest, get a hold of this article, dig deeper, you'll learn more and understand why this is a really good option for women who want to track the health of their breasts, who want to do a non-invasive screening annually or more often. What thermography can detect: unexplained pain and inflammation, digestive issues, leaky gut, thyroid function challenges, immune imbalances, dental and sinus issues, TMJ. Really, it's TMJ is your temporal mandibular joint, but disorders of the TMJ it can detect: neck and spinal problems, breast health, breast risk health assessment, lymphatic congestion, hormone imbalance, injury assessment and monitoring, and musculoskeletal issues. So it's good to create a baseline where you're tracking it regularly so you can detect patterns. The earlier you start as a woman, the better. In your 20s is the best place to start, the best time to start. What do you do if a problem arises or a pattern of a problem begins to emerge. Basically, further testing is the next step. What she recommends, Dr. Horner, is ultrasound, and then once you do ultrasound, then you can move on. If there's still a question, she recommends that you move on then to maybe mammogram or an MRI, something more invasive. Truly, the only diagnostic tool is a biopsy, and not everybody wants to jump into that, because she talks about, and a lot of other medical doctors talk about, is that there are dangers when you do a biopsy. You could spread stuff into the body and cause more of a problem. So you got to be careful with that. So the thing to understand, thermography is highly sensitive. So if you are going to get a thermal image of your breast, you got to be careful. Like if you recently exercised, or you drank nicotine, or you have caffeine, nicotine, or alcohol in your body, you drank caffeine, chewed nicotine, smoked nicotine, drank alcohol, certain medications, supplements, recent surgeries, dental work, tattoos, scarring, sunburns, and the room temperature can and will affect their thermographic readings. So you have to make sure that you or the technician is prepping you properly before you go. Couple of last points that we want to understand, that thermography is a very effective tool for breast health tracking. Studies have shown that when thermography is included in a woman's regular breast checkups, her survival rate increases by 61%. So again, thermography is a great way to go to regularly screen your breasts until, possibly and unfortunately, some, concerning pattern emerges. Then you can move on to something more invasive if you want. When used in addition to clinical examination, self-palpation, possibly down the line mammography, 95% of early stage cancers can be detected, according to the International Academy of Clinical Thermology. However, thermography can still be beneficial if changes are not found early. So again, there's just more and more in the article that you may want to dive deeper into and understand about thermography, and it being a viable option for you, a viable non-invasive, non-radiation type of way of monitoring your breast health. Continuous abnormal thermograms are associated with a 22 times or a 2,200% greater likelihood or risk of developing breast cancer in the future. So great test, great tracker to use. Last one I will finish up with here, thermography versus mammography. Breast cancer is the second leading cause of death in women. On average, a woman in the United States has a 13% chance of being diagnosed with breast cancer at some point in her life. So this equates into 1 in 8 likelihood of developing the disease. About 60% of breast cancer deaths are due to delays in diagnosis, making early detection critical. Two main options, again, mammography and thermography we've been talking about. There's also ultrasound and MRI. Thermography has gained renewed interest in recent years, and research suggests that thermography is highly effective for detecting both the presence and absence of breast cancer. Recent studies have shown that when it is combined with artificial intelligence, AI, thermography can achieve accuracy rates of 90% or higher. Mammography has been considered the gold standard for years. However, while it can detect breast cancer, it has severe risks and limitations. There are false negatives. Dense breast tissue can obscure tumors. Okay, so there are false negatives. There are false positives as well. Radiation exposure, heavy dose of radiation when you're getting repeated mammograms, okay, year after year, decade after decade, overdiagnosis. One systemic review or systematic review estimated the breast cancer overdiagnosis rate at 52%. The review concluded that 1 in 3 breast cancers detected in women offered a mammography is overdiagnosed. That's crazy. So you got to be careful, because many times, at least what the science is showing here, talking about the systematic review, is that a third of the women are overdiagnosed or improperly diagnosed. So again, the reason why thermography is a promising alternative: early detection, no radiation, including being suitable for dense breasts. So it's a great option. I know I spent a lot of time on this topic, but I get a lot of questions about it, a lot of concerns, and it's a great, great option for continual ongoing monitoring of your breast health. And again, thermography may be a more suitable alternative to mammography for pregnant, breastfeeding women, women with implants, or have had mastectomies, women with dense breasts, younger women, women at higher risk of breast cancer need screening more often, but you don't want the radiation. Okay, so anyway, again, the article is posted in our group, My Family, My Mission. If you are going to get a thermogram of your breast regularly, you want to make sure that you have a trained thermologist to interpret accurately, that they're doing it accurately, that they're performing it accurately, that they're also working with other healthcare professionals to check the accuracy, to monitor it. So there you have it. That is all the news that's fit to print for this week, at least. And I appreciate everybody being with me. CC and Leon, thanks for joining us there as well. And my nephew, my amazing nephew there. And stay tuned. We'll continue to bring you all of the, I believe that, what to be the pertinent articles, the ones that affect our health the most. And again, put the next masterclass on your radar, on your calendar. How to raise a healthy, drug-free family, building a titanium-like immune system. You could build your immune system up like a muscle to protect and guard and shield you for life in a powerful way. August 19th, that's this upcoming Tuesday, right here in the office, 6:30 p.m. We want you here. Join us. It's free. Please join us. Take care. Dr. Dan Yachter signing off. God bless.